We are the hollow men. We are the stuffed men. Leaning together, head piece filled with straw. Alas! It's time for another non-argument. This is the classic straw man. And you'll notice up in the title, I don't give an easy to understand example as part of the video title, like poopy head or that's just your opinion, man, because it's impossible. This device is used in so many different contexts with so many different words and so many different intents that it's impossible to give one definitive example in a short amount of space. But I will explain what the straw man is. The classic straw man is a replacement of one argument with another. What you do is, instead of addressing one person's argument, you restate that argument in a different wording or slightly differently in a way that makes it easier to destroy that argument or makes that argument reprehensible to the third party who might be witnessing a debate. And the imagery comes from, you build an effigy, you build a straw man like a scarecrow, and you burn him in representation of the real man. So you're creating a straw man of the argument. You're creating a false argument and then destroying that argument as if you were able to destroy the real argument. But it doesn't work that way. So let me go ahead and I will give you one example of this replacement of argument ideas. And this is a real sort of debate that I've seen out in my adventures. And I'll give you an argument, I'll give you a claim, and then we'll see the straw man, the restatement of that claim. So here's the claim. When a woman physically assaults a man, she is responsible for the escalation of violence that occurs as a result of that assault. So there's your claim. Here's the response. Here's the straw man. So what you're saying is that when a woman gets hit by a man, she deserves it. Now, you might be thinking, well, I mean, that's kind of similar, right? Like, because you're describing a woman, when a woman assaults a man, she's responsible for the escalation of violence. It basically means, like, right, she deserves it. But subtly, we've changed the argument, maybe not so subtly. We've changed the argument in a way that makes it not only easier to sort of disassemble and counter, but also states it in a way that is going to create an emotional reaction from any third party to sort of revile that particular argument. So rather than saying when a woman assaults a man, we've dropped that. We've dropped the whole preamble of the condition when a woman assaults a man. You're saying that when a woman gets hit by a man, she deserves it. So we've dropped the preamble. She's not assaulting the man anymore. And we've also changed the meaning. Rather than the woman who assaults the man being responsible, meaning she owns some amount, she owns the responsibility of what happens, she's now deserving of being hit. She's deserving of what she gets. And we've added an action. I said the escalation of violence, not necessarily being hit, but, we assume it's being hit, but we change it subtly. And now instead of it being responsible, it's like a judgment. It's like she deserves punishment rather than she's responsible for her actions. And then it becomes a much easier argument to take down. There's a million different ways that you can use the classic straw man, and it's one of the most frequent devices that is misused or accidentally used by well-intentioned people, believe it or not. And the way that you can use it, the way you can accidentally use it, if you're a logically minded person like me, is that when you're encountering a lot of people who aren't really good at making positive claims and aren't really good at making arguments, but you still want to engage them in the conversation, you still want to move the conversation forward, there's a real itch and a real tendency to take what might be a slightly incoherent statement, a statement that contains formal or informal fallacies, and to restate it in a way that doesn't contain those fallacies and doesn't contain formal errors. But the danger is when you do that, you may actually be distorting what that person said. So it's usually, if you want to avoid doing a straw man, so like I said, very intelligent people can accidentally make straw mans just because they are attempting to make the argument clearer so they can actually respond and engage with it. But there's a tendency you might be accidentally misrepresenting an argument. So what you really have to do in that case is really just ask somebody to state it a different way, without a particular formal inconsistency or something like that, so that then you can move the conversation forward without having straw man someone. But straw manning is a really, really common thing. We see it all the time in politics, and this is an election year in the United States. So you're going to see a lot of people misrepresenting other candidates' positions. So it's like Donald Trump just wants to send everybody back to Mexico. It's like, well, I think that's a bit of a straw man. He said he wanted to enforce the law, right? That means probably sending quite a few back, but doesn't mean sending them all back. So you change the position to make it like more extreme. So everyone's got this extreme position. Bernie Sanders wants to steal everybody's money. It's like, well, no, that's a straw man. That's a false argument. So it is something to be aware of. It's really, really common, and it's one of the first things people revert to is changing the argument from like the wording that the person's using to a different wording that makes the argument like more reprehensible to them. So be aware of it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see. I hope that this series has been informative and fun for you, and I will continue to catalog as many different fallacies as I can come up with, and I have a whole list of them. I have so many more things to say about it. So hopefully you're willing to keep listening and keep taking me to task on these, especially with the appeal to purity one. That was very good. So thank you guys for those conversations. I really do appreciate it.